It's Reality Check with Craig Price.
I'm an idiot.
4 minutes in and I'm already wrong.
I'm like a monkey. Hello, look at me.
You're like a beautiful mind. I'm more like Forrest Gump. So it's,
Craig Price is the man.
I knew it. Craig, shut up.
it's Reality Check with Craig Price. This week, Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men joins me to talk about Comic-Con life. Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you taking time to listen. If it's spring, then you know that Comicpalooza is coming to town, and as I have in the past, I have joined their podcast partnership program once again. Also, fingers crossed, we'll be monitoring some panels for them, which I hope to be able to bring to you. So we'll look forward to that. The event is May 12th to the 14th here in Houston at the George R. Brown. And guests scheduled to appear include Chuck Norris. Yes, that Chuck Norris. Anthony Mackie, who is the Falcon in the Avengers movies. A slew of Marvel Netflix shows, including John Bernthal, a.k.a. the Punisher, and Shane from The Walking Dead. Finn Jones and Jessica Henwick, which from the new Iron Fist series. Mike Coulter, who is Luke Cage. Charlie Cox, who is Daredevil on these Netflix shows, as well as other stars like the original Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund. We got Felicia Day and SpongeBob himself, Tom Kenny. Also appearing is past guest and today's guest, Ming Chen. Now, a lot of you know Ming Chen from the show Comic Book Men on AMC. And once again, we go back into the past to New Year's Eve, where we were both working the Marvelous New Year's Eve event. Now, it was New Year's Eve day. Ming texted me out of the blue that morning to ask, hey, would I moderate his panel? And he's a really great guy, so why wouldn't I? And there wasn't much of an audience that day, which I don't want to get into again. But Ming goes to so many conventions that I wanted to talk to him about what it's like traveling, meeting celebs, and doing what he does. He's kind of like a little Anthony Bourdain without having to cook, in that he finds the best food in town and the best bars, and he's posting them on Instagram and on his Twitter account and on Facebook. He really should get his own travel show. So if you're a producer out there, you can hire me and Ming to do a reality series going from con to con, finding great spots in each town to eat and drink. Sci-Fi Network, get on it. Ming will also be at Comicpalooza May 12th to the 14th, so go to comicpalooza.com for tickets. So to get ready for the convention, I wanted to get some Ming time once again, so let's talk to one of the most popular guests on the Comic-Con circuit, Ming Chen. Well, thanks everyone for being here, and first of all, I want to thank Ming Chen. Everybody give it.
Thank you very much.
Well,
thank you.
Don't worry, I'll sweeten that in post.
And I thank you, Craig Price. We go way back.
Yeah,
we go way back.
This is your second time on the podcast.
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, instead of an actual panel, we're just going to do my podcast, Reality Check, with Craig Price, which Ming has been on before. It was a fairly well downloaded episode. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. Craig here is trying to get moderating gigs at other cons, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Craig Price," and he'll send our podcast as an example of like him killing it.
And speaking of other podcast guests, Blue Sun is in the building.
Hello.
You're good friends. I wanted to make sure.
Gentlemen, this isn't my fault, but just beautiful women just keep walking in here, and it's not really my fault.
Honey, you didn't have my beautiful woman, Heather. You didn't have to move. You were fine where you are. But Lael, Jennifer, come on, join us. Where are your interns right now? Oh, you let them on their own. Oh,
wow.
That's get a little responsibility. Good for you.
Fantastic. But thank you guys for coming out. Truly, come on over, guys.
Come on in.
Come on over. The water's warm.
So I'm gonna. Since we're getting more and more folks, I'm definitely gonna have. If you have questions, just put your hand up.
Yeah.
I'll get to them right
literally
away.
Ask me anything. It's like, where do I get the best tacos in Dallas? Fuel City.
And that's what we're gonna start talking about, because I want to talk to you about Comic-Con life. Because you go to how many cons do you go a year?
So this year I really ramped it up.
I know you're everywhere.
The thing with the whole con thing is you go until people stop caring,
right.
And it's a pretty it's like a switch.
15 minutes, you want to use it all up.
It's like a switch I've seen. Unless you're like Adam West or Lou Ferrigno or Stan Lee or Kevin Smith.
Who I got to meet this morning. He was at the restaurant and he was sitting right next to me. So
you bugged the old man while he was eating eggs and bacon.
Walked by. I know how to do this.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure.
We're going to talk about some con etiquette as well. So
yeah.
I got all kinds of con questions for you.
Right.
So how many did you get this year?
This year I really ramped up. I think counting today right now 34. I did 34 this year.
So that's about 3. If I do my math right, about 3 a month.
Something like that.
So
yes.
3 weeks on, 1 week off.
Something like that. Yeah, they all kind of get spread out. A couple of times I went to 2 cons in one weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And how does that work? Is it just you just constantly racing around, or?
Yeah. So one no, not at all. It's great. Well,
the racing part. It's not the travel. I mean, it's making sure you get there because you'd hate not to show up.
No, I'm Asian, like speed racer. Like
Asian.
I can, I like Fast and the Furious.
Only Tokyo Drift though.
Well, no. The if you remember, the bad guy in the first one was Vietnamese. He was Asian in the Honda S2000 convertible.
I try to put the Asians in positive light.
Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of people don't, including at least 2, possibly 3 guys that I work with. Do not put Asians in a positive light. So
34.
Yeah.
How many you got scheduled for 2017?
So far I think I have just a little over 10.
And are you trying to match or?
I would love to match it. Yeah.
So you're constantly every 3 weeks on. 1 week you visit your family. I'm assuming you have to work at the shop too, don't you?
Right. Yeah. So during people are like you're never home. I'm home during the weekdays.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're home like Monday morning through
like Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably sick of you. They've known you their whole lives.
Yeah. And I have a couple kids. They're 11 and 9, and people are like, well, do they miss you? And they're at the age where they're like, oh, you're home. Like you're here, and like, oh, okay. Like, will you take us out for pizza? I'm like, let's go get pizza and play video games.
When you get a guest list and there's someone they want, do they come with you?
If it's not during the school year,
okay,
they're able to come. So
who are your kids really excited about? Because I'm sure
like
Brian Johnson is not someone they're all excited to go see.
No, Unky Bry? No, not at all. Not at all. Like that scary guy with the beard.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here. Was he here?
Yeah, he was. He was.
Did he not make it? I haven't seen him. I've been.
Brian works in his own world and on his own schedule. And when we started out during cons, it was about almost 3 years ago. We're like, hey, we have this opportunity to do cons. It'd be better if the more of us that show up, the more
as a group, yeah,
the more people want to come meet you. And I'm like, do you want in? You can make some money. Some easy money. Be fun. Travel the country, possibly the world.
This is easy money.
And but if we're gonna do it, like it's all of us. It should be all.
It's
of
more
us.
effective when you're as a group.
Right. So we went. We asked Walt first. Like, Walt, do you want to do cons? Like, we could be like Adam West. We could be like Stan Lee, like on a smaller scale. And he was like, no, he doesn't fly, so that cuts out
all of them.
Pretty much any con that's not drivable to him. And then he really doesn't like the attention. I don't think he's ever watched the show on TV as it aired. He's the one guy who would rather not be on TV. But since Kevin sort of makes him
right, it's part of his job now.
Yeah, and to his credit, since he's kind of like, well, since I'm stuck here, and they pay him pretty well, that I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah,
and I like how he put out front, like, no, I don't want to be at cons. I don't like the attention. And we're like, okay, no problem. So I asked Brian. He's like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
And Mike's been with you a couple times.
Yeah, Mike comes with me a lot.
Yeah, because we were in Comic Palooza together.
Yeah,
and he was a great guy. Nice to meet him. I like him when they're sociable.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy. He's a good con guest. He's a good person.
You know all the Clerks folks, and I was able to hang out with them this week. They're all sweethearts.
It's fun. I imagine you guys go to a lot of cons, and it's fun when the people you want to meet are like nice and actually personable, and they actually look up at you, and they'll talk to you for a little bit as you're handing them money. Just you're an actor, fake it if you have to, and a lot of them don't though.
Really?
William Shatner.
Well, I find it strange that the higher they're up, often I find the higher they're up, go right into the mic. The higher up they are, usually the nicer. In my experience, the nicer they've been. I find sometimes these folks that haven't worked in 25 years, and they're kind of coasting. They're ruder than John Barrowman is unbelievable.
John Barrowman might be like the quintessential con guest. Like he'll sing, he'll dance, he'll cosplay.
Well, he's a professional. He knows this is part of his job, and he appreciates it.
Yeah, he'll grab your nuts if you ask him to.
Or
have you had your nuts grubbed, sir? You've seen it, okay?
Yeah, well, you don't have to ask. Sometimes if he thinks you're worthy.
Yeah, and he'll grab boobs. I mean, like
he's a sweetheart, but I find that the higher tier, and there are tiers.
Yes,
let's be honest.
There definitely are tiers.
There's Stan Lee's at the very top tier,
right? And I'm like below ground,
well,
but I'm here.
So. Yeah, Rooker is on another tier,
right?
And then there's like the Brian O'Hallorans and the Ming Chens.
Sure.
And then there's people like me who no one even knows and just moderates.
Oh, right.
So
I even if you're like the bat boy, at least you're still on the team.
absolutely.
So,
Oh yeah, I get to ride the team bus and everything.
That's how I feel like my like the AMC hierarchy. Like you have like
Hardwick.
You have like Hardwick and all the Walking Dead guys are the all stars, and then like I'm like the water boy. I'm like I don't care. I'm like
Yeah, like I said, we get all the team jackets and we get to get on the team bus.
I know if we win the World Series, I get a ring.
Yeah,
I still get a
exactly.
ring. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But so yeah, back to Brian. It was great for a while, and then for whatever reason, he hates sitting behind a table and signing autographs and taking photos, and and it started where I would get to where the con city was on like a Friday, and he wouldn't even, and like, where's Brian? I don't know. He didn't show up. And then I would text and call him to make sure he was okay, and he wouldn't text or call back. Common courtesy, I believe. And then then there would be some weird excuse like he got sick or something, but he wouldn't tell anybody. And then like later on, I'd find out like he was just at home watching Netflix and not chilling because who wants to chill with that? And then, but this year, his cat got really sick.
Oh, got some bills to pay.
And he decided to get the cat surgery, and the bill came in, it was $30,000.
What? Excuse me? What kind of cat does he have?
I don't know.
Just a regular cat, or is it a tiger, or what is it?
No, it's not he's not Mike Tyson, dude.
I know.
Or Ezekiel.
He got a $30,000 cat bill. I mean,
yeah. And so he has quite a hole to fill. So he started doing cons again, and he was actually having a great time for a while, to the point where I was like, all right, this is the new standard. Like he's gonna come and show up and have fun, and he's bailed on the last 3 without word. So I heard on I think it was Thursday, they're like, Brian missed his flight, and I'm like, missing a flight precludes that you actually tried to make the flight, and so that he didn't miss the flight, he just didn't get on it. So I haven't heard from him. I was gonna text him and be like, dude, are you coming? Are you okay? And and I didn't do it because like I felt like a battered wife. You know what I'm saying? Like that battered wife syndrome. Like where it's like
you're tired of enabling him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hit you. Like I love you. Like so finally today I broke down and I'm like, dude, like are you alive? And I'm pretty sure he's at home watching Westworld right now. So,
well, it's a good show.
But I don't know.
Andy
like,
Newton is really attractive, and I could sit and watch her do anything. Especially naked. Read the.
I'm
phone
used
book.
to that. I really like doing cons with him when he's in a good mood. It's
good.
It's a lot of fun. We bust each other's. It's like the TV show a little bit. Like, but we're behind a table at a con, but we make fun of all the washed up people if they're there, or if they're not washed up. We just sit there and make fun of everybody.
Are you playing the Deadpool game where the original Deadpool Dirty Harry game where you're figuring out whose career is almost ending?
No,
it's like
I think
they've got 15 more minutes, or you meet a new person who's like, oh, this is their first con. They're probably going to be.
We're
famous
not
for a
that
month.
arrogant. Like if every 15 minutes, our clock is broken.
Oh
dude.
no,
it's
I
like
know.
spinning.
You're on extra time. You're on overtime. Everything's great.
I definitely on OT. Yeah, but it's just it was fun. So he's not here. But I met this dude, and he was like, "Is Brian here?" He's real excited. I'm like, "No, man, I don't think he's coming." And it turned out the dude waited. He waited. He knew there was a possibility Brian wasn't going to show up, and he really wanted to meet Brian, not the Asian. He wanted to meet Brian, so he waited and he heard Brian does a podcast every week called Tell 'em Steve Dave. If there are any listeners here, and Brian said on the last podcast recorded about a week ago that he was coming. He's like, me and Ming are going to Dallas, and he took that as like Bible truth. So he went. He spent like $300-400 on tickets.
Oh.
And all that, and he came, and I'm like, I don't think he's coming, dude. And like, just the look on his face, like, what the hell? Yeah. So I
hopefully the rest of the crew here will make up for it because it's a pretty good con. I mean, there's some as far as people and just like people to hang out with. There's some really good people here.
Yeah, he doesn't really hang out. He goes up to his hotel room and watches Netflix some more. Like
so this guy who doesn't get to see Brian, hopefully he can make up for the fact with yourself. The O'Halloran and Marilyn is here.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm having a blast. I love Texas. I love Dallas. I truly do. I love Dallas. It's amazing.
Again, I want to remind folks, if you do have a question, we're not doing it formal. You can just put your hand up. I'll come running to you with the microphone.
This is as informal
Yeah,
as anything. I love this, though.
This is super relaxed.
We all need like cocktails. It's a little early, but
I've got my herbal tea.
we all need cocktails or and cigars, and yeah, that would be awesome.
So you go to all these cons. So let's talk about some con etiquette.
Okay.
Because, like I said, Barrowman has no etiquette.
Right.
But if you were a guest and you had advice to give to somebody, how do you approach people?
I mean,
and what's the best way of doing it without freaking people out? Because there is that creep factor for some
right.
of us.
I mean, I get the cardinal rules. Like, don't be a dick.
Yeah, but
I
some
mean,
people,
right? Like,
dicks don't know they're dicks.
Well, I mean, then they should be put in their place then.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that's always fun to see. But again, you don't want to have to do that in front of an audience.
Yeah,
all of a sudden
but
now Ming is a dick.
I think, I don't know, I saw some kid go up to Sean Gunn. He was like, oh man, like your brother's much better than you. And I was like, really? Really? Like poor Sean, man. But yeah.
Well, it's like in cons when they have questions at a Q&A and they ask horrible questions like...
Actually, that kid was Mike Zapsik. So,
Zapsik. But they'll ask like horrible questions like, so when you used to be rich and famous, and that's how, you don't start off like that. That's rude.
Yeah.
Like you haven't worked in so long. What is
Right.
So obviously you don't want to do that kind of stuff. But I also find out that people are nervous.
Right.
When they're nervous, they don't. The filters don't kick in.
Sure.
So how do you like to be approached?
I really don't care. If you want to tell me that, you want to tell me, what's it like riding on Kevin Smith's coattails or The Walking Dead coattails? I'm all for it because that's the truth. So like, I make no bones about that.
Tell him you earned your spot as a webmaster. You actually, it's not like you just went, hey, I showed up and bought comic books at the store every day. You actually.
Right. That was Mike.
Yeah. Oh, Mike. He's the coattail writer.
Yeah. We do a little origin story. Walt and Brian grew up together. They met Kevin in high school, and that's how they became friends. Mike shopped at the store a lot, and he got hired because he was the, like in the hierarchy, he was the one guy who annoyed Walt the least. And Walt needed a guy who could work the store like one day a week, and that grew to like a full-time job. I saw the movie Clerks, and I made a fan website, and Kevin saw it, and he called me like, geez, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, in 1994, anybody had a website, it was hard to do.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was an Asian who lived behind a computer. Like, I was like...
You didn't have to say behind the computer. Once you said Asian, we knew that. It was implied.
Ah, good point, my friend. Good point.
It was implied. What was the name of the website?
It was, I did a clerk site. It was just all clerks. Like, actually, what I did was...
What was the URL? Was it geocities.gov?
It was like I was going to it was like umich.edu /Ming/clerks.html or something like that.
There you go.
But then it was that grew. We did all his movies, encompassed the View Askew universe is what we called it. Like, welcome to the View Askew universe.
And then he bought you out. So it now, when you go there, it goes to his.
I don't know.
Not you personally. I don't see you're a sellout. I mean,
no, I sold out a long time ago.
He incorporated into his branding.
Right. Yeah, but it was literally he saw it and gave me a call. He was at an internet cafe. He saw it. He's like, "What's this? What's this? What's the internet?" And then he called me. Although he called me, left a message. I called him back, and hoping that he would pick up, like it was a direct line. So I'm calling, and the line picks up, and I hear, "Oh." I'm like, Kevin? He's like, no, Kevin's not here. So I left my name and number. It turned out Muse had picked up the phone.
That's a pretty accurate impression because I was immediately going, is that Jason Muse?
Yeah, it was Muse. He was, for whatever reason, they let him work the reception desk for like a week until he
lasted a week?
Yeah, he lasted a week.
That's about 6 days more than I thought.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was, but that was cool because back then, there was no Twitter. There was no direct interaction with people that you loved, like Kevin Smith or like anyone famous or had made your favorite movies. So for me to call and hear like Jay and Silent Bob pick up the phone,
that must have been crazy.
Was pretty mind blowing. Yeah. So yeah, this is 1994. So now it's a lot easier. You can go on Twitter and get into a Twitter war with the guy that you used to like before he called you, like a dick or something.
Yeah.
So
I got super excited because I screenshotted the acceptance. Aaron Gray accepted my LinkedIn request from
Aaron
Buck
Gray.
Rogers. Aaron Gray.
That got you excited, Aaron Gray?
She's awesome.
Okay, like she is awesome.
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
I
met her at Comic Palooza the same time I met you. She's a really nice lady.
Right.
It's like, and then when
it wasn't even Twitter, it was LinkedIn.
No, it was LinkedIn. That means it's official business.
It ain't bullshit. It's real
So what are you
business.
going to send her your resume now?
Yeah,
And,
she represents talent for
she
these cons.
represents a lot of talent.
So
yes.
guess what? She probably knows people that might need some quality moderators.
Possibly.
See?
Possibly. All right. Networking.
Because I see you travel, and I honestly believe this. This is not just blowing smoke. I
Yeah.
honestly believe you need a Travel Channel con show where you
Like
go.
Anthony Bourdain,
Yeah.
like Cons Unknown.
But it's always it's places around cons, because how many people here have been starving because we can't find anything around the Sheraton? My wife, a lot of folks, right?
You guys are nuts. There's so much good food around
There is,
here.
but there's just-
there really is. It's not even that far. I mean,
Gotta Uber it a little bit.
Uber's like the greatest thing in the world. Uber's opened up everything. You're never trapped anywhere anymore.
So let's talk about your love of not only coffee,
Right.
Yoga,
Coffee, yoga,
basically your Instagram account, coffee,
yoga,
and booze,
cocktails,
and food.
yes, food.
Because I know that a lot of us and
well-dressed women.
those happen to be wherever you go. That's just a side effect.
Not everywhere.
Are you purposely targeting places with good-looking women?
No, it just happens.
That's a side effect.
Yeah, I'm very lucky, but
So, and whenever I'm looking and I need to I need to find someplace to eat in
Right.
Lexington, Kentucky.
right.
Ming, where can I go? So how did that become a thing? Because you're really good at it. It's not just a little side thing where people are taking pictures of dinner. You're really into
I
it.
think when I was growing up, I was, Asian parents, they didn't let me leave the house, so I was very sheltered. Even when we went on trips to Disney World or wherever,
You still couldn't leave the house.
yeah, they didn't want to go anywhere, and I wanted to go. I wanted to explore the city that I didn't know if I would ever get back to. And one night, my cousin woke me up at 2 a.m, and he's like, let's go." I'm like, "Where are we going?" And he's like, "You'll see." So we put his car in neutral. We rolled it out of the driveway so no one would wake up. And we drove. And if you've ever been to LA, there's this hot dog stand called Pink's. And
Someone in the back. She got real excited about it.
My cousin took me to Pink's at 2 a.m. one year, and I was like, "Wow, you could." You can do this. You can go to a hot dog stand at 2 a.m, get these amazing chili dogs, and remember it for the rest of your life. And so now I try to replicate that experience in some way
No, you do a great job.
wherever I go.
How do you find these places? What's your research like?
It's Google. Google's pretty good.
No, but I mean, what do you-
there are a
what do
lot
you
of
like to look
message
for?
boards. What do I look for?
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
do you look
I
personally?
don't look for the most expensive place. I don't look for the most high end or whatever. I want to eat where the people who live there eat, and love where do the people who live here, where will they line up and wait an hour, and that's a place I want to go to.
You're like a smaller version of Bourdain.
Much smaller, yes,
Yeah.
and not as white. He's very white.
Oh, he's super. Almost so white. He's compensating for it sometimes.
Right, and he's kind of an asshole too. But
Is he? I don't. I've
little
not had a
bit,
chance
little
to meet
bit.
him. I watched the show, but
no, I haven't met him either. He just in a good way. In a good
see,
way.
with me, I like those snarky, sarcastic people. I don't see them as assholes at
Yeah,
all.
but he's smart. You're a chef turned author turned celebrity turned world traveler. But I think the most brilliant thing he did, he had a TV show called The Layover, which was he would go to a city for about 48 hours and chronicle where to eat and where to hang out, as if he had a 2-day layover. And that's what going to cons is like for me. I'm there for 2, 3, 4 days, and I try to hit everything in that time period. It's a lot of fun.
It's amazing fun. That's one of the reasons I'm really trying to do the moderating thing, because I want to be able to foster relationships. 'Cause I like to see you more often.
Yeah.
And get to see other people more often. But it just seems like a fun thing to do. And as our audience has been growing, just so our listeners know that every 5.
Thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
About every 5 minutes, another 2 people show up, and I really appreciate it. So if you have questions, just put your hand up. I will find you eventually. I got the gentleman right here,
All right.
the Ghostbuster. You do, because it's a podcast. So
Oh, okay. I was just gonna ask, since you get around, have you had a chance to ever spend some time at the Alamo Draft House and see any of their unique experiences?
So that's weird. So the Alamo Draft House a couple years ago, they did this thing called the Rolling Road Show, where they packed up a semi with a blow up drive-in screen, and they went to they showed Goonies in Astoria. They did Jaws on Martha's Vineyard. I don't know what they did down here in Texas. I'm sure they did something.
I know they did in Houston. They have that.
Yeah.
The Mason Park Draft House did Jaws at a big, huge pond.
Yeah.
So basically you're floating in the water,
And
and as
watching
you see the
Jaws.
feet, you're feeling it at the same time, going.
Yeah, and you're feeling like phantom tickles
Yes.
as you're trying to watch the movie. But the big thing they did Clerks in Red Bank, where our store is. They were trying to do it across the street from the Quick Stop, and the city was like, no. I'm like, why not?
What's across the street from the Quick Stop?
Well, at the time, it was a vacant lot, and I helped them. We all went to City Hall. We all argued why this would be awesome, and for whatever reason they didn't want to do it. So we ended up doing it closer to the store, which was cool. So I met Tim League and his wife. I can't remember Carrie League.
Okay, and Tim's out of Austin.
Yeah, who run the Alamo Draft House, and I mean movies and beer and food that's a great combination. And yet I've never actually been to one.
Really?
So I might have to. I have to remedy that while I'm out here.
I've been to 2 this week. I did both the screenings for Flash Gordon and the Clerks folks.
Yeah.
If you've never been to a draft house, they're all great. I've not been to a bad one.
Yeah, but I think something like that with that, there are a lot of places that show movies and have beer, but they have that extra cool factor. They do it right.
Well, they got the trailers that they have a person, all they do is look online at YouTube.
Yes.
And find old trailers, goofy
Right.
Superhero stuff or whatever the movie's going to be.
Yeah, they make it fun.
Yeah.
But they get it.
They got theme drinks and they have glasses that go with it. They got all kinds of great things. They do it by theme. They don't just, it's not just a corporate, disgusting money grab.
Right.
It's very family oriented, fun. It feels like you're going to a community.
Right. And yet, but I don't. To me, it's something that actually exists kind of solely in Texas right now, right? Are there other ones outside?
I think there's draft houses in, I want to say, Arlington, Virginia.
Oh wow, okay. I think you're right. So it's spreading. The cool is spreading.
And I think there's one coming to LA. I don't know. But again, if Tim League wants to come on the podcast,
right.
That's realitycheckpodcast.com. Just email me, Tim. I'll be glad to have you. But no, it's really big and obviously in Texas.
I mean, but there's no surprise that something like that started in Austin, which is pretty cool. And then I just found out Tim he's opened a speakeasy in Austin. It's on the 36 if anyone's been to Austin.
Oh yeah.
But it's it's called the Midnight Cowboy Modeling Agency. It used to be an Asian massage parlor, and they turned it into a speakeasy.
Oh, that's
and it's the greatest thing. You go in there and there's a door. And it's those buzzers you buzz in to get in. You have to hit the one for I think it's called Harry Croddick is the name. It's the guy who invented the Manhattan or something. And they let you in, maybe they don't.
There's one in Milwaukee. It's a speakeasy, and you hit the button.
Yes.
And then a voice comes over and they make you do something like a dance or or something. And what's happening is there's a little camera, and it's showing on the screen inside the bar
of you
dancing. So you have to do the chicken dance, or you got to do something stupid. And then when they let you in, everybody comes in and cheers you because they all watched it happen on the screen.
Right. Did you dance? Did you do a good white boy dance?
Oh, I was with somebody. I let them do it.
You let them do it.
It's
smart.
I am a coattail rider like nobody's business.
Smart. Are you guys all from Dallas or the area?
Let's see who's the farthest in the audience. We'll see who's the farthest.
Where are you from? Tulsa. Okay,
Oklahoma.
Tulsa's cool.
Anybody farther away from Tulsa? How far is Tulsa from here, time-wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for driving all the way over here.
So I think my wife and I and Lael, and we're from Houston, so that's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
Lafayette, Louisiana. That might be a winner.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, here last night I was hanging on this amazing speakeasy called Atwater Alley.
Okay.
Last night, amazing. There's a hidden bar in every city, so I intend to find them all and drink at every one of them.
Well, before I get any other questions from the audience, I want to know about your love affair with Michael Rooker.
Okay.
Because
who doesn't love Michael Rooker?
No, we all love Michael Rooker,
Yeah.
but you have a different kind of relationship. You moderate so many panels, and I've seen so many pictures of you two in close physical contact. Not to your benefit.
Sounds dirty,
though.
but okay.
It sounds benefit. Yeah, it's really he's just throwing you around like a rag doll. But
Pretty much.
What's the deal there? Because I've seen you moderate so many panels with him. Obviously, you got to be friends with him by now.
I think like a lot of you, I think I first saw Michael Rooker in either Days of Thunder or Mallrats, and then there's Tombstone and there's Henry Portrait of Serial Killer. I don't have to list his IMDb. You guys know what the IMDb is, but he started doing all these cons, and we wind up that's the same con together. And I guess it started, they asked me, Mike, and Brian if we would moderate his panel at a con not too long ago. And I'm like, do you need all three of us? They're like, oh, yeah, this is a 3-person job. We're like, really? How hard could this be? And it turns out, he likes to do at his panels, physical, self-defense demonstrations. Like we were up on stage, and he was like, "Does anyone have a Lucille bat?" And he grabbed it. He was like, "Ming, hit me over the head with this." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just like hit me like over the head." And like I went to go, I'm like, I did a wussy one. He was like, "No, do it for real, dummy." And I did, and he put me in. He did this weird Aikido move, and like almost threw me into a table. And I didn't get hurt. And I guess that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So
How many panels have you done with him?
I think like 3 or 4 at this point, maybe more. But I guess he likes me because I guess what usually they'll bring some moderator, probably someone he doesn't know, and he'll proceed to just make fun of them and belittle them and like make them feel like a wuss, and they don't like that.
Oh, well, like I said, I have an outside shot today, so I have to keep that in mind.
Oh, dude,
Show no fear.
You should do it.
Well, I don't have a choice. It's not like I get to pick.
You should do it.
I said I would. It's
You
not
should
up to
do
me.
it. If you wind up in traction after.
Yeah, well, that's good because I didn't sign any waivers, so I'll get some of that Rooker money.
Yeah.
Some of that Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2 money.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
I saw that you had the lovely She-Hulk over there.
Yes. Your question, my friend.
Hold on.
Since you referenced it earlier, I've got a friend who would not forgive me if I didn't ask, what cigars do you like?
Oh, cigars.
What cigars do you like?
Oh, actually, I have a good story about cigars. I'm a casual cigar smoker. When I go to like a Walking Dead convention, Scott Wilson and Michael Cudlitz, if you watch the show, Abraham and Herschel, huge cigar smokers, and they always have these like high end cigars and like Monte Cristos and like Cuban, like the Cuban ones are really good. And
You're more of a Swisher Sweet guy?
No. I'll go like Romeo Juliet or like a Cohiba is good. But so it kind of started. Mike, one day we were in New Orleans. He's like, I think I'd like to smoke a cigar. Like I haven't smoked one in a while. And we found a cigar shop, and we smoked a cigar, and it was kind of fun in New Orleans, walking up and down Bourbon Street. And so we would go to cons a lot, and it was kind of like our con thing. We'd go like smoke one cigar per con, and it was pretty awesome. It's a good tradition. And then all of a sudden, I find out that he's addicted to cigars, like full on.
Oh yeah.
Addicted, where he would be sneaking off to take smoke breaks, like we didn't know where he was, and then he would come back smelling like an ashtray. And then he started, like, I had noticed one day I came into the stash and there was a bottle of Listerine behind the counter and like a toothbrush. And I guess what he was doing was he was taking the 55-gallon trash can and like brushing his teeth over it, like gargling and spitting it into the trash can. And like it was, and I was like, all right, this is weird, but like I didn't really think anything of it. Like I even bought him a humidor for Christmas.
Enabling him.
Yeah, and like right after that, I found out he was like, yeah, something happened to me last night. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I can't smoke anymore. I'm like, what happened? I guess he came home and his wife and kids confronted him and they had kind of an intervention and his kids like started crying and stuff like, we don't want you to die, daddy. And like, smoking's bad. Like, we love you and all that. And he was like, okay, I'll stop.
I
And
thought
like,
this was going to be like him blowing guys in the parking lot for Cuban cigars.
yeah.
Like that's a sad. That's a sad story right there.
Yeah, that's wow. I was like, Mike, can you just buy them? Like,
Yeah, I know.
There's no more import like tariff or anything like that. So he quit for a while. And it was weird. Like we would be driving to a con and we would stop at a CVS and he would come back with a bag full of like Nicorette patches. It was really bad. And then I think he fell off the wagon for a while. I think he's back on. He's back on the wagon now. So
good. I hope his family's not listening.
yeah, and they weren't even like real cigars. They were like the little tiny
cigarillos.
ones. Yeah, they were like the higher end ones.
Yeah.
But I just thought like getting hooked on cigars is so weird. Like cigarettes, I can get. You get like 20 to a pack or whatever. Like cigars, like what are you, like a gangster or a really old man? Like it was really weird. So, and what he would constantly smoke like half a cigar and leave it outside for later, like right by the windowsill. And I would walk by and see it, and I was like, man, I should take a piss on that.
It's keeping all the mosquitoes away, man. Don't do that. That's
I guess,
good for you.
yeah. So your question, sir?
I was just wondering on reality shows, every episode they kind of have like a wacky kind of theme of each episode,
Yes.
kind of outside people bringing in the comic books.
Right.
I was wondering if there was one that like the producer suggested that you guys really shot down that were really bad, or any ones that were kind of like your favorite that you really enjoyed.
I think that the themed episodes are kind of a newer thing. Like, if you've been watching this season, I think we did like an all Star Wars episode before Rogue One came out. We had Elvira on kind of before Halloween. I'm trying to think if there was anything like bad or that we didn't use. We have a Batman one coming up soon, which is pretty cool. Yeah, for the most part, we pretty much get to do whatever we want. So I mean, reality-wise, like before the season starts, we all kind of sit down. And they're like, "Well, what would you like to do?" Because we want you to do what you guys want to do, because it reflects on screen that you're having fun. And it was like, oh, it'd be cool if we got any like Star Wars cast members in, or something like that. Or Walt really, there was an episode where we made Ernie Hudson drive around in an ice cream truck selling comics out of it. Like, I think back to that, I was like, man, we're kind of assholes for making him. We didn't make him, but like it was a weird.
Has there been something
situation.
that you suggested that they've shot down that you would still hope to be able to do?
I would like to have like George Lucas on the show, like whether or not he wanted to come on. And I heard I think we tried to get Carrie Fisher on, even, and Kevin knows her. They're good friends, but I don't. I don't. She's never seen the show, and not that I expected her to. But if you read the description of the show on paper, like you'd be like, "What is this?" Like, this sounds really, flat out on paper, it doesn't sound that exciting. When you watch it, obviously, it's a lot more fun. And I kind of regret that we didn't get her to come on.
And what was your favorite one? Was that the Ernie Hudson running around?
That was one of the favorites, just because Walt really wanted that ice cream truck.
Was it the wedding?
No, I lost a bet once where I had to dress up like Sue Storm and marry Mike Zapsik, reenacting the wedding of Sue Storm and Reed Richards.
Which was very progressive on your part.
That was not my favorite episode. But when you lose a bet, and you pay up, and that's what I do.
You are a man of honor.
I try to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chen always pays his debts. So
now, who are the people that you get excited to see? Like when you get booked to come here,
right?
And then so you might be one of the, maybe you're early, maybe you're late, but
right.
If you're early enough and you start seeing them release names, is there names that you jump out and you go,
all the
I don't
time.
care what happens. I don't care if anybody comes to my booth. I don't care what goes on. I'm going.
I care if people come to my booth. It's weird. People ask me like,
that Stan Lee thing last night. I mean, that was
insane, man.
That was worth the trip alone.
That was insane. It's weird. People like, you go to a lot of cons, or a lot of people, they're like, do you still like geek out? Do you still fanboy? I'm like, hell yeah.
Of course you do.
Like, I geek out even more now because you kind of see these people in passing, or I guess as a guest, it's kind of a courtesy. Like most of the other guests will be nice to you because you have your picture next to theirs or whatever. You're at the booth next to theirs. So I geek out all the time. Like here, like Stan Lee, obviously. Ming Chen is awesome.
Her panel's going to be next. I'm just stalling.
Oh, are we?
It's not going to be in here. It's going to be in the big room.
Of course,
I'm just stalling until 12 o'clock. Yeah, I can't wait to go see her.
Yeah, she's amazing. I grew up watching her in the Joy Luck Club, and my parents were always like, "Why can't you be more like her?" I'm like, "Mom, that's a Amy Tan character. She's not real. She's not." But I think she might be that cool. I was like, maybe she's really cool, that cool in real life.
And then every once in a while, you get to have like breakfast with Peter Mayhew. I saw you that picture in Houston, you guys. So it's fun, cool stuff like that.
My friend runs an amazing breakfast coffee place in Houston, and the guy who works with Peter was like, "Hey, we're heading back to Dallas." They were at a con in Houston. We're heading back to Dallas. Do you know anywhere good for breakfast? And I'm like, yeah, there's this place called Morningstar. Not that on the way back, you should stop there. And they did. He rolled in, and my friend Steven here is one of the amazing chefs there, and they brought out a whole spread, and my friends there were trying to play it cool, say, oh, Chewbacca's here, oh, this is cool. We took photos and we ate a great breakfast, and then they left, and then they all geeked out. They're like, holy shit, like Chewbacca was eating. We were eating breakfast with Chewbacca,
and I didn't know he was here, so that was a totally unplanned plug.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. No idea.
Yeah.
I know. I just remember seeing that picture, and I live in Houston, and I'm not that far from Morningstar. Going, why am I not there right now? But it was awesome because that kind of stuff is really cool.
Only stuff like this happens at cons. Like I was having drinks with his guy, and I happened to say the word breakfast, and he was like, "Breakfast?" I was like, "We want breakfast." I'm like, "I can show you the best place in Houston to have breakfast," and they all rolled in. So it was pretty cool.
And we got even more people. I love it every time I
I know.
look up.
Thank you guys for jumping over.
Like I said, this
awesome.
is super informal. So if anybody has any questions, just put your hand up.
I love informal.
Yeah, this is much better than the grilling interview that they do here, like a press conference. I mean, I can do them. I don't like them. I prefer this.
Yeah, I mean, do you want like in-depth technical details on the makings of Comic Book Man? I don't think so.
No, not that particularly,
or
no.
you. Oh, his hand went down. Your question,
Hold
sir.
on, let me run over there. No, you're.
When is the next season possibly going to be filmed and come out? You know?
So we're in the middle of the 6th season right now. We'll be back when Walking Dead comes back on February 12th. They're gonna air another 8, and then like every year we don't find out until April or May if we're gonna do another season. I guess it's all based on numbers, which is cool because thank you guys for watching. Without you, there are no numbers, and Brian Johnson might put a gun to his head, but.
Or he might just watch Netflix for a weekend.
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah, so we'll find out in April, May. I mean, it's looking pretty good. Like, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but it seems like everybody's happy. And it's cool when
Get it out. Get it out.
excuse me. It's cool when you hop into a cab in like San Antonio, Texas, and the cab driver turns around to you and he was like, "Yo, Ming, that Speedo you wore in that one episode, that was totally uncalled for." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess, that's a good thing he is recognizing with my clothes on." So
Let's all just take a moment to picture that.
yeah, no, you don't
Yeah,
have
those are the faces that you should be making.
Yeah. So the way it works is that we find about April or May if we're going to do another season, and then we shoot from July to September, about 2 months. It takes to make a 16-episode season.
How long does that one episode take? Or do you kind of like do the whole season and then kind of edit?
Yeah,
whatever you got?
we shoot all in one shot. So the way it works, for anyone curious, so we shoot like people bringing in stuff or the transactions, people who want to buy something or sell something. We shoot like 3 of those a day for about 2 weeks, and then Kevin rolls in for 3 days, and we sit around the podcast table, and that's when they shoot all that. Then he leaves, and we do it all over again like 3 or 4 times, and then they just cut it up into 16 episodes.
And let's talk about your podcast.
Okay.
Mike, how's that work with your travel schedule?
It's not that bad. So I do a couple podcasts. I do one. If you any Smodcast listeners, Smodco, Fat Man on Batman, Hollywood Bat, all of Kevin's podcasts. Kevin has a big podcast network, which if you don't listen to any of the shows, you should hop on. Mike and I do a show on that network called I Sell Comics, where we talk about the weekly comic releases. We record in the back of the comic book store. And we've been doing that for like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, but with the travel, do you actually have to look at the comics because you're already talking about them? So
yeah, so if we're both going to be traveling or whatever, so we just record a little earlier than we usually do. Usually we record Thursday, Friday, so we'll move it up to Wednesday. It's not a big deal.
And do you take a stash of comics with you wherever you go, so you can be ready for the next time you record?
Yeah, or I'll just wherever I'll like one of the things I like to do in addition to food and all that, I go to local comic book stores. And that's always cool. You always go in and it's like, oh wow, that's cool, we should do that, or like we do it way better than these guys.
So obviously the stash is your favorite place, but besides the stash around the country,
Yes.
what comic book store has really, either just because it's super funky and old fashioned, or it's like super decked out, which one's been your favorite?
You know what I really like? If you go, anyone who goes to LA on Sunset Boulevard, there's a place called Meltdown Comics.
Yeah, that's where they have a little performance place in the back.
It's like it's a live podcast theater in the back.
They actually have a stand-up theater too.
Yeah,
it's great.
And you can go and you can do a live podcast there or do stand-up comedy, and it's like the combination of two things I really love. So, and I think the theater out back is called Nerd Melt. Mm-hmm. It's a partnership between Meltdown Comics and the Nerdist.
Yeah, Hardwick's empire.
Yeah, so I'm
let me
gonna.
get you some more.
Can you reach that? I got short arms. Thanks,
no,
man.
it's all right. Like I said, we're gonna get it all out. Get it all out.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Now all I know is I have to edit now. This was going to be an easy one. Now I'm going to have to edit.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm giving you extra work, my friend. I apologize.
Yeah, they didn't pay me for editing. All right. So, is there anyone I know Atlanta's got not the Laughing Skull, but they've got some kind of. I know Atlanta's got a great comic store over there.
Yeah, I think it's a comic book store, and they have beer in there too. It's a beer comic book store. Again, like when you mash up these two things that I really love, it's pretty amazing.
So, have you brought some of that to the stash? Are we gonna be able to get beer in the stash soon?
Have you met Walt? Like Walt?
I have not.
Walt's never eaten a sandwich or a hot dog. He's a weird guy. Like He
What is
doesn't like
just-
weird smells.
Just like Soylent Green? Is that all he does?
He drinks Coke and he eats pizza. That's his diet. He's like he's like a 3-year-old. Like, and he throws some Cheerios in there. He would think it would be awesome. But yeah, Walt's old school. Like, they order everything by hand.
Does he still have a dial phone?
No, Walt had an iPad and an iPhone for a little while. He just found out what a playlist is. Like literally, it's 2016. He was like, "Wait, I can play the songs in the order that I prefer, and make it into it." Like, I'm not even kidding. He literally, like, and he did it by accident. He like dragged something over. Like, whoa, what's this? Yeah, and now Walt's had an iPhone for about a year. He's had a cell phone for maybe 2 years. So he was always busting our balls about texting. He's like, "Why are you texting? Why don't you just call them? Texting's so stupid. I don't get it. Like, why would you text?" And then I went outside one day and he was like this, and then he went real quick to hide it. Like, he didn't want us catching him, but he learned how to text his family, and like he got it. But he had made fun of us so much that he didn't want us catching him texting. It was so weird.
Yeah. Texting allows you to talk to your family without actually having to talk to your family.
Right.
'Cause we know how
Walt's a weird
painful that
dude.
can be.
Walt's a weird dude, but it's cool that the rest of the world get to see that.
Come on over here. What's your name?
Hunter, good to see you again.
Hi. If you could be any superhero, who would it be? And who is your favorite superhero?
Great question. If I could be a
your
superhero, who would it be? And who's my favorite superhero? So
Who would you be? And what would
They
you?
could be different. Right now, if anybody reads comics, Marvel's got a really great run of Hawkeye out right now, which I like absolutely love. The tagline of the comic is, "This is Clint Barton. He's an Avenger. This is what he's doing when he's not part of the Avengers." So Hawkeye never, he shoots a bow and arrow really good. He's also kind of a messed up guy. Like,
Yeah, he's from the circus, so automatically he's messed up.
Yeah, but
he's a super carny.
But he's kind of a womanizer.
Super
and,
carny. I'm still
yes,
not,
yeah.
Have you met carnies before?
Yeah, he's just kind of a train wreck, I guess. Like a good guy, but kind of a train wreck. And it's not even him that I'm focused on. It's the female Hawkeye, Kate Bishop.
Is that his daughter, or is that the one from
no, she's
Old Man
just-
Logan is the one where his daughter is the new Hawkeye. See all these.
It's a
crossover. So Kate Bishop is
kind of, I want to say protege, but most of the times it seems like she's the one who's always saving his ass.
she's Robin then, but they're both Hawkeye.
But prettier and just
Well,
cooler.
that's a
like,
judgment
I
call.
think in the comic she's probably about like 20, 21-ish, like maybe 19, like depending on what run she's older or younger. But she's always saving his ass. They're constantly busting each other's balls. They just have this dialogue that reminds me of me and like my female friends, and I really love it. And then like she goes out to L.A. in one issue, which I thought was cool, and it was like character wise and superhero wise, I think it's pretty awesome.
And actually, that one you could probably, if you practice, you could actually at least shoot an arrow.
Right.
I'm not asking you to like hit a quarter from a mile away, but
Right.
you could not injure the children.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So I saw that Mike got you something for. Didn't he get you something for Christmas?
Mike, what did Mike get me for Christmas?
I saw a big old Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, he got me a Hawkeye hardcover called I think Sins of the Father, Sins
Yeah.
of the Past, or something. It's an
I'm stalking you.
old school Hawkeye with the H on his head. Like, I like the Jeremy Renner Hawkeye. I think he's cool. I didn't really. Did everyone see Civil War? Like, I didn't, or whichever one where he had the family.
That was the Avengers.
Yeah.
Ultron.
Yeah, Age of Ultron. I thought that was weird. That was a weird direction, because I mean, I know his family is hidden away, but if you're in like the foremost superhero group, and you have these enemies like beyond evil, like what do they target first? They don't target you. They target your loved ones if they're smart. And if it's like that's why Jedis don't have like connections or anything.
Attachments. That's right.
Yeah, and I thought it was weird that he had like a family and kids. Like, I'm like, that's not a good idea, dude.
So we got half the question. What was the other half again?
Oh, who's my favorite super? I think he's my favorite. And who would I want to be though? Is a great question.
So Hawkeye you love, but he is just a guy who shoots an arrow. If you could have superpowers? Which superhero would you like to be?
Man, that's such a great question. I like my humorous answer is like I'd love to be like Jesse Custer from Preacher, like have the word of God and make people do like whatever I said.
I would like to
which
be
was not a great.
the Beyonder. Is
The
the one
yes.
I always want the one that you can do anything. Because why limit yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, how many wishes? What would your first wish be? I would wish for more wishes, and then that kind of crap.
Yeah,
I'd always find a
wasn't
loophole.
the Beyonder always trying to figure out like humanity and human life?
Yeah, there was a whole. I remember a couple panels where he learned to poop.
Yes, there's a It was in the 70s. And he was
It was
like,
80s. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was the 80s because he had that horrible shoulder pad
Right.
suit and the bad black hair.
Yeah, and it was kind of they danced around it, but they're like, "What's this brown stuff coming out of your
Yeah,
ass?"
he was
And-
behind a closed door. They didn't
Right,
actually
they didn't
draw
show-
poop. That
right.
would have been a new Marvel low.
That's not code approved. Drawing poop, illustrated poop.
I don't even know. It could be.
Comics code approved.
They don't want anything sexy, but they don't mind violence, and maybe
Right.
poop is fine.
Yeah.
I know you know more about that. You have to deal with censors all the time, don't you?
Yeah. Not really, but I mean, speaking of that, I think the one thing I get very often is like, is the show scripted? Does someone write the dialogue for you? I get a lot of people insisting that the dialogue is written. It's like, you guys can't possibly be this funny off the cuff. And no, it's literally, someone brings something in, they're like, oh, like, be funny. We'll cut around whatever's not funny.
So I'll ask you
And,
this in the same vein. So it's not scripted.
No.
But if someone says something cool or funny and
Right.
it comes out awkward, do you reshoot it? Because that would kind of be in the same vein of scripting, but it's more
I think the first 3 seasons we'd have to repeat a lot of that stuff because we only had 2 cameras, and then after that they got the budget to get 3, and it was only because they didn't expect Brian to come up with a zinger, and they didn't have the camera on him.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Hey, can you just say that again
Logistics.
real quick?" Yeah. But
Yeah, I think that might be where people might be getting that, and that because there's nothing wrong with that because it was
Yeah.
it was an original thought.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
That we want to make sure that people can actually hear it.
yeah, I think there was one season where we had a different production team, and they tried to make Brian change what he said. And if you've ever seen Brian or if you've met him, like, you don't tell Brian what to do.
He can't even show
ever.
up to a con, so how are you going to get him to do
Exactly. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't. He can even tell himself what to do, much less anyone else. So, it's how we've been talking for 20 years. The guys have been making fun of me that bad for 20 years, and people ask that a lot too. It's like, they're making fun of you, man. Like, it's just for the show, right? I'm like, oh no, like, oh no. In real life, it's worse, man, because in real life they don't edit anything.
And they don't stop, and it can get worse and get more vulgar. And
Yeah, and I would say, like, Brian, he doesn't care. So I would say probably about 70-80% of the things he does say in front of the camera, they cut it out because it's too hot. He gets really racist sometimes, like in a somewhat funny way.
I have a friend who has a podcast, and one of his guests has a tendency of doing that, so he has to edit quite a bit.
Yeah, there was I don't know if anyone saw the episode where we did stand up. We were trying to do like comic book themed stand up. And he came up with this joke. It was like, what's the difference between Ming's parents and Superman? And you know what? Ming's parents Ming's parents are grateful for having a yellow sun, or Superman's grateful for having a yellow sun. It was a yellow sun joke, and I was like, dude, like, that's pretty funny, I guess. But like,
it's definitely on the I guess section.
They couldn't put that on AMC though. They'd have like the Asian Anti-Defamation League on them.
It'll stay on the podcast. I'll definitely. That's one part I will not edit out.
Yeah.
So you go to all these cons,
Right.
and you see all these great different ideas.
I do.
What is besides like the roast last night, which I thought was a fantastically executed.
Did anyone go to the roast last night?
How many
Well,
love
a
that
lot of
phone call
people.
between Stan and his wife? I have never heard of a violent session. That was a new thing for me.
yeah.
I didn't know that. I think that's an old-fashioned term for sex. Was
Right.
having a violent session.
Violent session.
No judgments, but
None at all.
But last night was a great thing.
Yeah.
But you don't see that at every con. What are some of the things that you've seen at cons? Like if you were in charge of a con, they said, "Hey, you do this all the time. We're going to put on a Ming Chen con."
Oh my god! First of all, I would never run a con. I see so many
No, you hire
nightmares.
somebody else
like,
to do it. You just come up with the ideas.
I don't even know if I would do that. But that being said, I don't. It's a weird thing. When I was going to cons as a kid, I'm kind of old now, but the cons were like in church basements. Maybe some of you remember.
Yep. Or
They were-
a single ballroom.
Yeah, like they would put them like wherever they could get space and whatever safe space would allow
Comic
them.
Palooza started in a mall.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And
Yeah.
some cons started like I heard of one starting in like in the lobby of a parking garage. Like that's cool. I used to go to cons that they were at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. So then they started growing, and now they're they're this huge things with like real life Avengers appearing as guests at the con. And I don't know, it's such a weird mix now because everyone calls it a Comic-Con.
It's a pop culture event.
And like there are no comic book vendors there.
No, it's
barely.
I always call them pop culture events because that's pretty much what they are.
Yeah,
and if they happen to
mean,
have comic books there, they do.
Yeah, if I did it, like I would try to at least keep it somewhat comic centric.
Okay.
Like we have some comics there. And it's a weird mix though. I have friends who they've tried running like pure Comic Cons without BS reality TV celebrities or whatever.
Yeah, so
appearing.
third-rate BS reality shows.
Yeah,
yes.
and it doesn't work because people don't come out for that. So you need
It's the experience for a lot of folks.
You need the Stanleys at some of them to draw the people, and then they buy the stuff that's also there. It's a weird formula. So I would love to keep it balanced, but it's a weird. I haven't really figured that all out yet.
Have you seen anything that was really cool? Like we said, like the roast is a unique thing. You don't see that at every con. Is there something you've experienced they asked you to participate in that you've
other
never seen
than
before, like a game show or
like Michael Rooker throwing me around like a rag doll? Like,
Yeah, but
that's pretty unique.
Yeah,
I think.
that's becoming common practice now, though.
Yeah, or actually, the thing I see a lot more now is a lot of cons have been inviting podcasters out or having podcasters set up on the show floor, and I think that's a great idea because you'll have maybe like a guest walk by or a comic book creator or something. Hey, sit down, let's talk for 5 minutes.
Well, speaking of 5 minutes, we've only got about 5 minutes left. That was perfect segue. I jumped on that number.
Wow, that was pretty ham-handed, but yeah, good job, my friend.
Oh no, I
Good job.
got to take it. There's one thing I know is that we are going to end on time. I don't know what time we start, but I know when we end. If you have any questions, any last questions for Ming, hold on, I got to run over to you.
Oh, why is Brian not here?
Oh, you missed all that.
So,
Yeah,
I didn't
what was
even-
the excuse? Why?
Is this the guy? Is this?
No, that's not the guy who spent $300.
Okay, I was
Or
like, is
maybe
this the
he
guy that
did.
couldn't wait to see Brian and got disappointed?
Yeah, so this is the third kind of row Brian's bailed on me, and he was notorious for doing it. Then he kind of jumped back on. Now I guess he's like off the wagon again. The first time, like I heard I heard multiple stories. First I heard it was a family situation, which
That's a cheesy excuse because
is
anything can be a family
nebulous.
situation.
But like I heard a rumor that his like girlfriend got drunk and they got into a fight, and like she wouldn't let him go or something. I don't know. Like, and then if anyone is kept up with Brian over on the podcast, Brian recently got evicted from his apartment because he paid he was chronically late paying his rent. And which is funny, like this is a 49-year-old man who's on a TV show, getting evicted. Like he's not like your usual eviction. Like he was just lazy. He didn't feel like paying his rent on time. So I think he's back at his parents' basement right now, until he finds another place. So that was the first excuse. The second one, the niece that he takes care of, gave him strep throat. He told me. Which, like, if you get sick, it's fine. Like, I try to suck it up and go. Like, I might, I would still go. Like, I don't want to infect anybody, but
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm not only standing here, but also if anyone want to take a picture with you, I want to make sure that they don't want to picture me.
I'm not getting you sick.
No, I'm not worried about that because it's the last day.
But when I heard that, I was like, great. But I had heard the night before he was podcasting, and he didn't look sick. And then the Sunday of the con, he went and saw Rogue One with Mike, Walt, and a guy that also worked at the store called we call Get 'Em. They went to Rogue One, and I'm like, you were well enough to go to Rogue One, or you couldn't go to the con.
Well, first off, about 6 million people took that day off, so I can't really blame him for that. He wasn't doing anything unique. That was an important day.
Yeah, so I don't have an excuse this time. Like I don't know where he is. It's not a usual thing. But I just wish he would know how many people he disappoints by not showing up. Like,
we'll have him listen to this, and
Yes.
then. But one person who doesn't disappoint is you.
Thank you.
You are gonna. I can see this about 30 years from now. You're gonna be like the Stan Lee of Comic Cons, where they want you to come because you're just
Okay.
just because they want to see you. I mean, you may not even be doing anything, but you're
Right.
just a staple of the
I would love.
Comic-Con circuit.
I truly love this. I mean, and you guys here. I know you guys love it. You guys are here on a Saturday. Like, what better way to spend New Year's Eve, though? Truly.
Absolutely.
Truly.
And I want to remind everybody that obviously you're going to be down doing autographs.
I will. Yeah, I'll be down there all day.
Yeah,
Like,
all day today and tomorrow. But there's not that many people here, and I'm not in charge of the con, but
Do I have to memorize everybody's name?
no,
Is that
but I'm going to end a little early.
Okay.
And, so people can come and say hello to you. And take
let's
some
hang.
pictures,
Yeah, that'd be
maybe.
great. Let's hang.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Dude, Craig, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you guys for
very
coming
much.
out. Seriously.
Give yourselves a hand. Give
And
Ming Chen a
staying.
hand.
Thank you.
very much.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
That's the show. Thanks again to Ming for asking me to moderate. Also, thanks to Devin Pike for bringing me to Nerd Year's Eve. If you have comments, questions, or guest suggestions, email Craig@SpeakerCraigPrice.com. You can follow @RealityCheckPod on Twitter. The app has been updated, so download that at RealityCheckPodcast.com. See you next week.